thinking. No such person.
January 8th, 1935 marked both tragedy and destiny in Tupelo, Mississippi. In a humble two-room house, Gladys Presley gave birth to twins. Jesse Garin was stillborn, but Elvis Aaron survived. This loss would haunt the Presley family and shape Elvis's deep bond with his mother. Vernon and Gladys Presley lived on the wrong side of the tracks, literally. Their neighbourhood sat in stark contrast to Tupelo's more affluent areas. Vernon worked odd jobs, while Gladys took in laundry. Despite their struggles, they gave young Elvis something priceless: unconditional love and unwavering support. The foundation of Elvis's musical journey began in the wooden pews of the Assembly of God Church. Here, surrounded by passionate gospel singing, young Elvis discovered the power of music to lift spirits and touch souls. At age 5, standing on a chair to reach the microphone, he gave his first public performance, "Jesus Loves Me." The shy boy who could barely be heard would one day make the world listen. By age 10, Elvis had absorbed the rich tapestry of Southern music, from the gospel songs that filled Sunday mornings to the blues that drifted from Tupelo's African-American neighborhoods. His first taste of musical recognition came at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair, where he won 5th place singing "Old Shep." The prize was $5 and free rides at the fair. The Memphis years. In 1948, 13-year-old Elvis arrived in Memphis, Tennessee, a city that would transform him from a quiet Mississippi boy into a musical revolutionary. The Presley family moved into a small apartment at Lauderdale Courts, a public housing complex just blocks from the pulsing heart of Memphis's music scene. Memphis, in the late 1940s, was a crucible of American music. On Beale Street, blues legends like B.B. King and Rufus Thomas performed nightly. The streets echoed with gospel from storefront churches, country music from the radio, and rhythm and blues from record shops. Young Elvis absorbed it all, spending hours in record stores and sneaking into clubs to hear the raw, emotional music that would influence his unique sound. At L.C. Humes High School, Elvis stood out, and not always in ways he wanted. His long, slicked-back hair and flashy clothes made him a target for some classmates' ridicule. But music teacher Mrs. Marman encouraged his talent, even if his grades in other subjects weren't stellar. After graduation, Elvis worked a string of jobs: an usher at Lowell State Theatre, a machinist at Precision Tool, and finally, a truck driver for Crown Electric, earning $1.25 an hour. Elvis spent his evenings on Beale Street, watching performers and dreaming. He'd walk past the lights of the clubs, absorbing the energy, the style, the swagger that would later define him. When asked about his unusual look and musical interests, Elvis would simply say, "Someday, I'm going to be famous enough that I won't have to explain myself to anybody." The Sun Records. Breakthrough the summer of 1953 brought Elvis to a nondescript building at 706 Union Avenue, Sun Records. He paid $3.98 to record 2 songs, "My Happiness" and "That's When Your Heartaches Begin." When receptionist Marion Keisker asked who he sounded like, Elvis replied with quiet confidence, "I don't sound like nobody, ma'am." Sam Phillips's assistant remembered something special about the young man's voice and made a note: "Good ballad singer." Hold. Months passed. Elvis kept returning to Sun, hoping for another chance. Sam Phillips was looking for something new, a white singer who could capture the raw energy of black rhythm and blues. Finally, in early July 1954, Phillips invited Elvis back for a proper session with guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black. The magic didn't happen immediately. After hours of unsuccessful takes, frustration set in. During a break, Elvis started fooling around with Arthur Crudup's "That's All Right," transforming the blues number into something entirely different, faster, raw, with a hiccup in his voice that would become his signature. Sam Phillips stopped cold. "What are you doing?" he asked. "We don't know," Elvis replied. "Well, find out real quick," Phillips said, "and do it again." That night they recorded "That's All Right" and "Blue Moon of Kentucky," creating a new sound that merged country, blues, and what would soon be called rock and roll. 3 days later, Memphis DJ Dewey Phillips played "That's All Right" on his Red Hot and Blue show. The phone lines lit up. He played it 7 more times that night. When Dewey interviewed Elvis live on air, nervous listeners finally learned what many had wondered. This revolutionary sound was coming from a white teenager from the Memphis housing projects. The Rise of the King, 1955, marked Elvis's transition from regional sensation to national phenomenon. Colonel Tom Parker, a shrewd promoter with a mysterious past, took control of Elvis's career. Parker negotiated Elvis's release from Sun Records to RCA Victor for an unprecedented $35,000. Elvis used his $5,000 share to buy his mother Gladys her first Cadillac. January 1956 ignited the revolution. Heartbreak Hotel, Elvis's first RCA single, captured the nation's imagination with its ethereal echo and haunting vocals. The song shot to #1, selling over 1 million copies. Elvis wasn't just making hit records, he was creating hysteria. His television appearances became cultural flashpoints, starting with the Dorsey Brothers stage show and Milton Berle's program, where his performance of Hound Dog sparked national outrage and teen adoration. The controversy reached its peak with his Ed Sullivan Show appearances. Sullivan had vowed never to book Elvis, but changed his mind when rival Steve Allen's show with Elvis drew stellar ratings. Elvis's first Sullivan appearance drew 60 million viewers, 82.6% of America's television audience. By his third appearance, network executives ordered cameras to shoot him only from the waist up, attempting to censor his provocative movements. But the censorship only amplified his appeal. Elvis wasn't just breaking musical barriers, he was challenging racial and social boundaries. His music merged traditionally black rhythm and blues with white country and pop, while his performances shattered conventional notions of masculinity and sexuality. Teens loved him, parents feared him, and America couldn't stop watching him. In that pivotal year, Elvis scored 5 #1 singles, 3 #1 albums, and his first movie deal. The shy truck driver from Memphis had become the king of rock and roll. Personal struggles and transformations. On March 24, 1958, Elvis Presley traded his gold lame suit for army green. His induction became a media circus, with photographers capturing every snip as his signature pompadour fell to regulation length. "The army can do anything it wants with my hair," Elvis said, "just as long as they don't stop it from growing back." Despite offers to join special services and perform for troops, Elvis chose to serve as a regular soldier. Stationed in Friedberg, Germany, Private Presley drove a jeep and manned a tank, earning respect from fellow soldiers for refusing special treatment. He donated his army pay to charity and bought extra sets of fatigues for soldiers who couldn't afford them. But Germany brought profound personal changes. In September 1958, Gladys Presley died suddenly at age 46. Elvis was devastated, crying out at her funeral, "Please don't take my baby away." Those close to him say he never fully recovered from losing his beloved mother. Yet during this period of grief, he found a new relationship that would shape his future. At a house party in Bad Nauheim, Elvis met 14-year-old Priscilla Beaulieu, daughter of an Air Force officer. Despite their age difference, Elvis saw in her a kindred spirit. With her parents' reluctant permission, they began a courtship that would eventually lead to marriage years later. Meanwhile, Elvis found another constant companion, prescription pills, initially taken to help him sleep and maintain military alertness. By his discharge in March 1960, Elvis had changed. The raw rebellion of his early years had mellowed, but his popularity hadn't dimmed. RCA had carefully released stored recordings throughout his service, keeping him on the charts. His manager, Colonel Parker, had bigger plans. Hollywood was calling, and Elvis was about to become a movie star. Hollywood and come back. Elvis's return to civilian life launched a decade of Hollywood dominance. His first post-army film, GI Blues, set the template. Light plots, pretty co-stars, and plenty of songs. The movies made money, lots of it. Colonel Parker's formula was simple: 3 movies a year, each with a matching soundtrack album. Between 1960 and 1969, Elvis made 27 films, earning up to $1 million per picture. But artistic frustration mounted. Early dramatic roles in Flaming Star and Wild in the Country gave way to formulaic musicals. Elvis dreamed of being a serious actor, like his idol James Dean, but found himself singing to dolphins in Girls, 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 and dancing with puppets in Fun in Acapulco. His music suffered too. Instead of recording in proper sessions, he was churning out soundtrack songs that even he called junk. By 1968, Elvis's career was in decline. The British invasion had transformed popular music, and Elvis seemed like yesterday's news. NBC approached Colonel Parker about a Christmas special, expecting the usual tinselled holiday fare. Instead, director Steve Binder convinced Elvis to reclaim his crown. The '68 comeback special revolutionized Elvis's image. Dressed in black leather, performing in the round with his original band members, Elvis rediscovered his raw power. The show's highlight came during an informal jam session, where Elvis, nervous at first, found his groove with early hits like That's All Right and Lordy Miss Claudie. When he closed with the specially written If I Can Dream, a passionate plea for peace and understanding, Elvis delivered one of his most powerful performances ever. The special's success sparked a creative renaissance. Elvis returned to Memphis's American Sound studio, recording hits like Suspicious Minds and In the Ghetto. The king of rock and roll was back, ready to begin the final act of his remarkable career. The Vegas Years and Final Chapter. On July 31, 1969, Elvis opened at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. No longer the rebellious rocker in denim, he emerged in a karate-inspired jumpsuit that would define his final era. His month-long engagement broke all Vegas attendance records. Elvis wasn't just performing, he was reinventing himself for a new decade. The early Vegas years showcased Elvis at his performing peak, backed by the TCB Band. Vocals by the Sweet Inspirations and J.D. Sumner and the Stamps. Elvis delivered explosive 2-hour shows that mixed rock, gospel, and power ballads. He performed 636 consecutive sold-out shows at the International, redefining Vegas entertainment and inspiring countless imitators. But the punishing schedule, 2 shows a night, 7 days a week, took its toll. Elvis's dependence on prescription medications deepened, prescribed by doctors to help him sleep after shows and maintain energy during performances. His weight fluctuated dramatically, and his marriage to Priscilla ended in 1973. Despite personal struggles, Elvis continued touring. His concerts became more erratic, brilliant one night, unfocused the next. Yet even in decline, he could still electrify audiences. During a 1974 show in Memphis, he stopped mid-song to give away his $10,000 watch to a surprised audience member, demonstrating the spontaneous generosity that marked his character. January 1977 saw Elvis record in the Jungle Room at Graceland, his final sessions. Though physically declining, his voice remained powerful on songs like Way Down and Pledging My Love. His last concert was at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis on June 26, 1977. The final song he ever performed in public was Can't Help Falling in Love. On August 16, 1977, at just 42 years old, Elvis was found unresponsive at Graceland. The official cause was cardiac arrhythmia, though years of prescription drug use had undoubtedly contributed. The king of rock and roll was gone, but his legend was about to grow even larger. Legacy and influence. The day Elvis died, President Jimmy Carter declared, "Elvis Presley's death deprives our country of a part of itself." He was right. Elvis had become more than an entertainer. He was a piece of America's cultural fabric. In death, his influence has only grown stronger. The numbers tell part of the story. Over 1 billion records sold worldwide, 114 Billboard Top 40 hits, 18 #1 singles, and 14 Grammy nominations. Graceland welcomes over 600,000 visitors annually, second only to the White House as America's most visited home. But Elvis's true legacy transcends statistics. He transformed popular music by merging black and white musical traditions during an era of strict segregation. Before Elvis, record companies labeled music race records or hillbilly music. After Elvis, these artificial boundaries began crumbling. As B.B. King noted, Elvis helped bridge the gap between black and white music, making it easier for African American musicians who came later. His influence extends far beyond music. Elvis revolutionized entertainment marketing. His image appears on everything from coffee mugs to private jets. He transformed Las Vegas from a gambling town into an entertainment destination. His fashion choices, from pink and black combinations to jumpsuits, still inspire designers. Even his personal struggles helped change public perception of prescription drug addiction, leading to discussions about celebrity pressure and medical ethics. In the digital age, Elvis's relevance endures. New generations discover him through remixes, documentaries, and social media. His voice appears in contemporary hits. His style influences modern performers, and his story continues to fascinate. From Bruno Mars's Pompadour to Justin Timberlake's swagger, from hip-hop samples to country music's showmanship. Elvis's DNA runs through modern popular culture. Ultimately, Elvis Presley represents the American dream, a poor boy from Tupelo who changed the world without forgetting his roots. His story remains powerful because it's both extraordinary and deeply human. In his music, his performances, and his legacy, Elvis embodies the transformative power of art and the enduring appeal of authenticity. The king may have left the building, but his influence plays on. Want more incredible stories from music history? Subscribe to our channel for weekly deep dives into the legends who shaped our culture. From Sun Records to Graceland, from breakthrough moments to untold stories. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to join us on a journey through the soundtrack of America.